Hello, everybody. Paul Vibes here. I am with my good friend Mark, aka DJ Trenches. I'm really excited for this podcast because what you do in the music scene is awesome. What you do in the community is awesome. You as just a friend and seeing what you stand for when you release music, when you're out there supporting the community. So often people present a certain way, right? When they're making music or they're curating certain experiences, but you really live it behind the scenes. And the way that I can speak for myself, and I know many other people out there who you supported on their mental health journey, and you know the way that you collaborate with people and the way that you support people as friends and hold space is really amazing. And I'd love to give you a hug and welcome you to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Appreciate that a lot. You know, I think whatever the creative passion you're involved in, there doesn't have to be a disconnect between the art that you're involved in and this facade that you have to put on and who you really are. You know, people know me as Trenches. People know me as Mark. They're one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that separates it is a little bit of personal branding, which is this, who I am as Trenches is who I am as Mark. And who I am as Mark is who I am as Trenches. There's no difference, you know.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that you recognize that there really is no facade per se, that I actually am who I say I am.
Yeah, you do a great job at living it, you know. And for those that are watching who don't know what trenches mean, I would love, because I know it's really a great topic for me to talk about with you, because you know it relates to mental health, and I love the story behind the name. And I feel like that's a cool way of starting this podcast, is talking about what does trenches mean.
Yeah, 100%. Let's dive into it.
Let's do it. Let's dive into the trench.
So I think most people, when they first meet me or they follow me on Instagram or whatever, and they're like, Trenches, man, great artist name. Is that kind of going through the? They kind of already know. They guess oh, is that going through the trenches type of thing? So they kind of guess already what the meaning behind the artistry name is. Long story short is my best friend and I 4 years ago now were having a conversation on FaceTime. It was a time period in my life where I was going through some pretty intense mental health struggles and a personal struggle and identity crisis, really struggling with purpose. And the conversation we were having, he said something, I'm going to paraphrase, but he said something. He was like, bro, you're in the trenches right now. Don't worry. You're working, you're supposed to be here. And I'm like, that's it. That clicks right there. That clicks because everybody understands adversity and everybody understands struggles and trouble and negativity and just the more not so pretty aspects of life. Everybody goes through some not so pretty stuff, right? So I kind of took that as the connecting piece for the artistry and for the music and for the branding. And Trenches was born literally from a mental health struggle. So then came the merchandise line, Rise, right? Yes. Rise from the trenches. So it kind of, the only reason why that was ever born was because I was in the shower one day, and usually when I'm in the shower, my brain starts
Me too.
Click. The downloads come. I just get the downloads, and I connect the dots, Rise and Trenches. So yeah, it's pretty much all based around some sort of mental health or personal growth or something like that.
Yeah. And talk a little more, so a little bit about how you team up with non-for-profit, mental health charity. If you talk a little bit about that.
Sure. As well. Yeah, 100%. So that's the whole merchandise push started earlier this year, sometime around February. I had people asking me, Mark, when are we going to get some T-shirts or something? Or I want to rep you. I want a T-shirt. And you're one of those people. And so I started thinking all right, I got to do something. I got to do something for everybody. I can't just have people come to my shows or my events and not rep something. But I wanted to be very intentional. I didn't want to just buy a bunch of $5 Gildan T-shirts and put my name on it and get it printed at a local thrift shop or something.
Yeah.
I want it to be very professional, very well done. And so I chose to invest a good amount of time, energy, and resources into developing the merchandise line.
Yes, and the quality is amazing.
Right? Yeah, it's
Great.
It's
Feels
looks
good.
great on you. It looks fantastic on you. But yeah, so I did all my research, got all my ducks in a row. I didn't outsource it. I didn't hire anybody to do the research or to manufacture or to create like the tech packs and the logistics and the paperwork behind the scenes that you have to do to get merchandise properly created. Mm-hmm. I scouted the material. I scouted the local printer, South Shore Customs. I'm plugging
Shout out
to you guys. South Shore Customs. That's who you go to. Over in Amityville, actually. But yeah, so the mission behind the merchandise was to donate a portion of every sale towards a mental health organization, charity that was locally based. Mm-hmm. So I had to do some research there as well. And I ended up finding the AFSP, which is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Mm-hmm. They're a national organization with a local Long Island-based chapter. And they have programs that they host in the communities, and they host a whole bunch of different resources for people. They're big on education and awareness. So I found them, and I chose that as the organization of my choice, which actually in about a week and a half, we have the AFSP walk at Jones Beach that Rise is actually sponsoring. We're actually offering some of our resources for audio and photography. And then at the same time, I'll be there. I'll be doing the walk. Hopefully I get some people to come down and do the walk. It's free. You can wear the merchandise, and raise awareness for a very, in my eyes, one of the most, if not the most important topics in society. Mental health.
Yeah. And I love it. Like I mentioned in the intro, like you really live it behind the scenes too, the way that, again, you've supported me and I know many other people, and the way that you show up in the community is a great just example of that, even beyond, teaming up with the charity, which is amazing. You're there for your friends. And it definitely shows, the way that you support the community.
That's not something that just happened because I chose to become an artist. Like that's not some sort of advantage for me where it's like, I make a deal with myself where I'm like, all right, well, maybe if I support 5 people this year, they'll come and be my customer or they'll be my fan or something. It's not some sort of conditional aspect of the artistry. That's just, I've been all about the mental health game and the personal growth game at my core for a long time. I've tried to really be a supporter, a friend, to all that I came across. Even going back to high school. In high school, somehow I won nicest to know in senior year of high school. So that's, I think it's always been there. It's always been with me, and always caring for people, always wanting to help people. All of my careers before the music career have been involved with somehow helping people.
Yeah.
Well,
no surprise by that. I feel like the way that and you're also really good at finding middle ground and bringing people together. During challenges. I've noticed that you're somebody that's able to de-escalate, calm things down amongst different groups, and you're able to really find just a solution. You're very good at finding solutions. You're very solution-based. And I also just love that you show up, maybe you can also share briefly the different services you offered along your journey, that you continue to support the community. You do a lot of different parties. You do a lot.
Yeah,
you do a lot of stuff.
So, yeah. Involved in the podcast realm, It's like podcast consulting for any creators in the Long Island community that want to showcase their brand or they have a message to get out there. I do the podcast editing and consulting, and I do that with my friend Melissa.
Be careful what you say. Well, we're gonna have to work you hard now for this podcast.
I'm gonna get hired. That's it. I'm hired now.
Yes.
I do audio and video consulting and setups. I have the one arm of I own a business on the side, so that business does like private parties and events, and we do audio setups and stuff, and we've done a lot with for Vinefest.
Yes, definitely.
I in that realm, I MC, so I control parties and I control events and I make sure the flow of the event goes according to plan. A little bit of project management, right? And then of course, an ecstatic dance DJ of some sort, right? Helping people release through music. And I partner up with my very good friend Genevieve for that. And I feel like very multifaceted, well-rounded balance of all these different skill sets that somehow aid other people,
Yeah, you definitely do a good job collaborating. For people who are listening that maybe listen to your music or are kind of new to your music, how do you describe maybe your mentality and mindset when you're creating music, or how do you describe kind of your specific style, what you enjoy creating? Because you have a really fun, unique style, and it's really cool, I gotta say, over the years watching you evolve and gain more confidence and experience and seeing how your music's evolved. And
this is a great question because sometimes I don't even know how to define that.
Finding out. We're finding out now.
I think, without getting into genres now,
don't put yourself in
which I'll touch upon, but at its core, like the music I make, all music provides energy, right? Like no matter what, all music provides some type of energy. Sometimes it's a darker energy, sometimes it's a lighter energy, sometimes it's a fun type of energy, sometimes it's a more serious energy. All music provides some sort of energy, right? I think at its core, the music I try to make will always try to evoke some sort of emotion. I toe the line between some of my darker pieces, some, faster and more upbeat, some are more lively. No matter what, they all fall into the category of electronic music. And to get a little bit more specific, usually in the melodic house, progressive house, and techno scene, a little bit of Afro and exotic organic elements are in there, which is a pretty, big genre right now. But somehow blending all of these genres together, I'm able to portray a certain type of energy that I want to evoke from people. Whenever I make music, I always I take myself out of the captain's chair, out of the studio chair, and I put myself in an environment that I want to be playing my music in, which is also a part of manifestation, right? But I put myself in an environment that I want to be playing music in, or that I want to be an audience member of, and I imagine like, okay, what would this sound like at this specific place and time? What would this bring me, and what could this bring somebody else? And I'm like, then I'll get into a groove and I'll feel like the type of energy that starts to come out of it. And then 2.5 hours later, there's like the solid idea of the song. Right there.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching Vibecast. We just want to take a quick moment to thank some of the really special sponsors that made season 1 possible. Over here, we have Kozar, which is a really beautiful nasal inhaler that's made from all natural and organic ingredients. Really helps to open your pathways. They make some for pain relief, some for energy, some for focus, and even some essential oil blends in there that actually help you relax and sleep. We have I Am Healing Nature. They have some amazing herb and tea blends that can help your body fight whatever you're going through, especially during the winter time. They also have some great energy blends and detoxing blends. Over here, we have STEM Social, another great sponsor. They have some amazing blends that can help you with endurance, focus, energy. If you're interested in learning more about mushrooms in any way, we highly recommend that you check them out. We also have Roots Kava Bar in Port Jefferson. If you're looking for a setting to socialize and connect with people in the wellness community and you're not interested in going to a typical bar, they offer some amazing alternatives like kava, which can help you relax without being hungover and intoxicated. And it's also a great community hub to meet some really beautiful people. We want to thank you again to all the people watching the podcast. Thank you to our sponsors. Now back to the podcast.
You gotta come to the studio one day for like to sit down and see how it's created.
Oh, we could film. Yeah,
we can film it, maybe.
Our man behind the scenes, Chris here, where he's giving me the
head nod, got the approval.
So I just want to say, like, what I feel when I listen to your music, it's definitely a very spiritual experience. I like the word melodic. It's a very emotional, not in the sense of like I'm sad emotion. It's
a
like
journey.
It's like how do I describe it? You brought up ecstatic dance. You know, for me, when you're performing one of your sets, especially when you're fusing a lot of the spiritual aspects to it, it's like you're meeting people wherever they're at on the dance floor on this journey. Maybe they're coming to an event. They got some stuff going on like the rest of us. Even today, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes in our lives. And when you come to one of Trench's shows, it's like wherever you are in your mental health journey, right? Whether you're in the trenches, whether you're not, wherever you are on the journey, for me, I'm comfortable enough at his shows where I know that, okay, wherever I might be in my mental state, I can work through that. And I think that's what's cool. I think so often we go to shows, it's like, let's get it really loud and just like get you out of your head and get messed up, right? Whether it's the substances or the loud beats. But with your music, it's very thought provoking. It's very emotional. And in a way, it's an opportunity, especially in the static dance formats, to work through whatever you're bringing to the dance floor.
Mm.
And the idea is for me, when I go to one of your events, is like, okay, I might be in my head about some stuff, being a parent, being this, dealing with all my own mental health stuff. I'm able to work through those challenges through your help of creating that space. And I know I can speak for many other people who I've shared those experiences with who also feel very similar. It's like you're on this journey, and keeping that theme of the trenches in the back of my mind of like, hey, no matter what I'm going through, this is an opportunity to shake it out, to get grounded, to be with community, and your ability there, holding space before, during, and after the show, it's always like a really like, wow, it's like you have like a therapy session.
Love that.
Music therapy. I'm what's crazy? I'm speaking in the moment.
You could add therapists to the list.
Yeah, I think I just had like a session.
That's so funny.
But it really is. Like,
I love that you brought that up. Love that you brought that up. I think like I have, of course, like I have very big goals and dreams and aspirations that I am continuing to manifest little by little. But where I am right now, currently, just as a smaller, like growing artist in my local community, in my local region, it's a really cool opportunity to notice how when people come to my shows, some are there to release, and some are there for very specific intentions because they're working through some stuff, and they just want to find a healthy way to release, right? And they want a different type of music that's going to help them do that, other than most of the commercialized pieces that you hear on the radio, right? Some are coming for a very specific type of music. Some people are just coming to celebrate, right? Celebrate life, have fun, whatever that looks like for them. There's a middle ground between the two. I've just kind of noticed that whatever the reason people are coming to see me is for, like, there's always a really cool, homey, peaceful, warm kind of energy at the end where, like, everybody gets together for pictures and everybody's like shaking hands and meeting each other, and I'm getting to see like all my different friend
lots
groups. Lots of hugs, lots of high fives, like, oh, I remember you from this show, or oh, you were at Trench's last show, I remember you. Like, everybody's starting to mingle and get to know each other. So that's a really cool aspect of like of what I'm doing as an artist, is just whatever the reason it is that people want to come to my shows for, there's just always this immense feeling of like community. Yeah, no matter what, it's always happened that way. And I think the goal is for me, of course, as I grow through the artistry, is to, as you know, the goal is to play these bigger venues and these bigger places. I think the goal is to spread that feeling over a crowd of a couple thousand, right? So that when I'm up on stage and people are in the crowd, and I'm playing my music and I'm going through my performance, on a huge collective communal level, thousands of people, they can just, whatever the reason they're there for, they can just have fun or release, be with their loved ones or their friends. For me, I know that's what music has done for me, right? Like, I've seen some of my favorite artists, 4 or 5 a.m. at the Brooklyn Mirage, completely sober, no need for alcohol or substances, And I've just been there for the music. I've been there because I'm all about the music, right? And the emotion that it evokes, and the journey that it takes you on. And I see this look in other people's faces where I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, they're here. They're present, man. Like they're loving this artist who's on stage right now. So I guess that's what I want to embody.
Yeah. We definitely do it. I feel it.
Yeah, on a local level right now, it's working.
It's happening.
It's happening.
And I can already see it. I mean, with the way that you're able to build community at these events and constantly bring new fans in and new people into the community, I totally can see it soon happening where, you get those bigger venues, those opportunities come up, we're collaborating. I think those are coming up. This seems like you have slowly cool opportunities.
Well, it's cool because earlier this year, I threw out a manifestation. I was like, all right, universe, source, whatever it may be, bring me events in Brooklyn. I want to play in Brooklyn. I need to play in Brooklyn. And I was specifically asking for some of the bigger venues, the Brooklyn Mirage or, Superior Ingredients, Knockdown Center, all the places that people know if you're in the electronic music scene. Okay, so the universe brought me close. It's like a game of Battleship, right? Like you call out a number and it's a miss, but it's super close to the ship. And then you see your friend's face be like, well, that was a close one. But it brought me close because it started bringing me to photo shoots down the block from the Brooklyn Mirage, parking on the same block as the Brooklyn Mirage. It's bringing me now to hotels in Brooklyn, rooftops in Brooklyn that are pretty major hotels, right? This Saturday coming up, next weekend, I just booked another event. Earlier this year, I was in Brooklyn at a big rooftop. It's cool to witness the manifestations bring you a little bit closer to your goal, right? To your vision, to what you want. Because then you just get to dial in a little bit harder and a little bit better. And you're like, okay, I'm on the right track, doing something right,
And that one connection, I think people underestimate, and I'm a big believer in conscious connecting, another way of saying networking. But I love, and I think you as well, love connecting with people just genuinely. And you never know where one connection, people think that you need to have a million people to be successful, but sometimes it takes one person that knows somebody or has a lead or has an opportunity for you. And I've seen you, and I've seen the way that you interact with venue owners, people who manage spaces, and your ability to be present and really connect with them.
Right.
Something that's coming to me now as we wind down a little bit is people watching this, struggling with mental health. I know there's a lot of different recommendations that you have and advice and quotes and all that fun stuff, but what comes to mind for you when there's somebody is struggling with their mental health? I know that I've talked to you. We've had a lot of deep conversations when I've been in the trenches. Yeah, a lot. I'm sure we'll have many more. And, people go through a lot, especially in today's world. I mean, without going into specifics, people would say the world's on fire in a lot of different ways around the planet, locally and individual law, in your personal life.
On a global scale.
Yeah, global
scale.
There's a lot going on in the world.
There's a lot.
And it's hard sometimes to stay positive and to stay your top.
Sift through the mud.
Yes.
I think, number one off the bat, just to get something straight, I'm absolutely no guru, right? I'm just a dude who went through some stuff that suffered unexpectedly at times. I think, I'll have a bit more of an optimistic view here, and I'll say 95% of the people that you listen to and you subscribe to for your personal development and your self-growth and your mental health sources of information, whether that's podcasters or writers or philosophers. I think 95% of them have started that way. They all suffered in some way, shape, or form, right? And, we tend to look up to these people, and some of us may think we're so far removed from them, they're gods. We idolize them, right? And we think that's not obtainable, and we put it out of reach, and we're one day I'll get there. I'll be like them. I'll be as strong as them. I think I've had weak moments. I've quit on myself plenty of times. In so many different ways, I've quit on myself. I've suffered. I've struggled. So I think it's important to remember that wherever you look to get your help from, wherever you look to get your advice from, your assistance from, the helping hand, the shoulder to cry on or to lean on, they've been through it too. They've been where you are. They could very well still be going through something.
Yeah.
I think it's just key to remember that it's like the strength that they have, that they embody, that you wish to have, you have that right now. Like, you are strong. Just for going through it, you are strong. You know, you're on your journey. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're not supposed to be, there's no guideline for suffering. There's no guideline for going through some things, or guideline for working through them, right? There's no hard set of rules. There's no Bible or Torah that you have to follow. It's not supposed to be perfect. You're going to have your ups and your downs and your roller coasters. And I think it's just key to remember that just like the person you're looking up to, you are strong, and you will find your way, and you will get through it. And the suffering is temporary. It's not lifelong. It doesn't have to be lifelong. You continue to do the work, and you figure out the things that work for you and the things that don't work for you, and you put things in your toolbox and you take things out of your toolbox, because the person you are today will not be the same person you are in a year from now, or 2 years from now, or 5 years from now. A tool right now may work for you now, but in 5 years, you may disagree with that, or you have grown to another level where you're like, okay, I don't need that tool. I think it's important just to remember that no matter what, you're going to get through it. And you will find the tools that you need to get through it. And you'll find the people that you need to get through it. And the universe, God, source, whatever it may be, will assist you in that, the natural order of things. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. People will come in that were supposed to stay. People will go out that are supposed to leave. Appreciate everything, but practice the ability to release. Release things as they come in, appreciate them, or release things as they come out, appreciate things as they come in, and just be along for the journey, the imperfect journey. You know, I think that's what I have come down to right now. I'm not in my final form. I have no clue what my final form is going to be. It's just going to continue to grow as Mark grows, as I get older, as the artistry grows. Whatever the final form is, even if there is such a thing as a final form, I have no clue.
Sounds like Dragon Ball Z yourself.
Yeah, right. Just kind of here along to develop, see where it goes.
Yeah.
So, no matter what, you're going to get through it.
Yeah.
No matter what, you're not supposed to suffer forever. You were put on this earth not just to suffer. You were put on this earth for much more than that.
Yeah.
So,
wow. I was gonna ask you for closing statements, but I feel like that was so powerful.
I think that's good.
Yes, and I just want to say, you know, wherever you are in life, people watching this, and even it was a reminder for myself, but wherever you are, you know, there are people there that could show support. If you reach out to myself or Mark, even if we're not able to be as helpful as we would like, we can direct you, you know, maybe to a charity, maybe to somebody who's a professional that can guide you and support you, but definitely don't hesitate to reach out. You know, Mark's been an amazing human being, friend, supporter, performer, for myself and for the community, and I'm excited to.
We don't have licenses, you know. We're not professionals, right? Like, we don't have licenses to treat people, but you don't need a license to be a good human.
Yes,
so
I agree. You know, we're going to be tagging Mark in all his social media, and depending on where, you know, when this podcast get released, I'm sure there'll be some upcoming shows, so be sure to check Mark out.
Trenches_official on Instagram. On Spotify, just type in Trenches. Actually, I should be now one of the first ones that, if not the only one that pops up.
Okay, I had issues with the
Thank you, search engine optimization.
Yes.
Yeah, but really Instagram is the major link to everything. I have a website as well, trenches-music.com.
And we'll tag everything in this. And we hope that you come back on more often, because
let's get a mental health series going.
We should. I'm down.
Winter is coming, you know.
We need this. I want this for myself. I just need a reminder. I got a private session with Mark. And there's so much more that, just so you know, in future episodes, I want him to dive deeper into, we'll go deeper into mental health, fitness, nutrition,
We've scratched the surface.
This is barely scratching the surface. So bring it in, Mark. Love you, brother.
Love you, man. Thank you. Thanks for everything, guys.
Let's send some love to the viewers. Thank you guys for your time.